There are many, many, many newspaper articles and news items that we can look back on in rapes, in burglaries, in situations like that. And 9 out of 10 times when the victims came out okay, it was because the victims had a knife or some kind of very effective self-defense tool on them.
This feels like a conversation around stranger danger, but it's very revealing when you start talking about self-defense, exactly what's going on for people.
Escaping a situation or getting out of a situation. I think that's how I would frame it in the standpoint of a woman. I mean, we have to face it, whether we like it or not, we are much more vulnerable in society. We are vulnerable to many different things. As much as we try to preach for equality, the vulnerability is still there, right? Where we have this, fear of walking in certain places at night or even sometimes during the day, right? We have this fear that, we could be ambushed and robbed or picked up and slammed, right? Just these things. And a lot of the times I find that many women, they don't feel like they are capable of protecting themselves.
Self-defense. It's a loaded concept, with many of us imagining it's chokeholds, a swift kick to the groin, or tossing the enemy aside and sprinting for freedom. But what happens before those moments, when we're in our head, scared, anxious, frozen? If this person's standing too close to us, what's self-defense then? I'm Ramia Amadin, and you're listening to Reflections. This episode is Fighting and Focus, Self-Defense in the Real World.
I think the name of the game is having this innate sense of confidence that I can protect myself and I can get out of this situation.
Let's meet Samira, who brings years of expertise to self-defense and a martial arts background.
Samira, I am a PhD who is researching the experiences of women in armed conflict in Colombia, and I spent most of my life practicing karate, over 20 years of my life. I formally represented Team Canada. Right now, I'm teaching self-defense and martial arts in various different organizations. I've previously held and conducted workshops in Colombia, Spain, and here in Canada.
Samira and her friend Lindsay McCaw are prepping to run their second annual beginner-friendly women's self-defense workshop. It's called Unbreakable. It teaches situational awareness, escapes, striking, fear management, and a lot more. Here's Lindsay.
Teaching self-defense to women. We bring like-minded women together. It's a nice community, uplifting event. It will not only be, self-defense tactics that we're teaching, but we do kind of in general movement, exercise, stretching, body work. Movement is very empowering. Like if you're going through anything challenging or distressing, building your body and you're feeling strong in your body, I think that has like a reverse loop into your mind. You start feeling stronger in your mind, and that's where that confidence comes from. Giving yourself that strength physically helps you get through those mental challenges as well.
My goal is for these women is for them to learn how to be confident. When women are in a certain situation, they don't feel confident enough that they can get out of that situation. And I think building this sense of confidence is absolutely essential.
I wanted to know why these women showed up to self-defense class. What have they gone through, or what were they afraid of going through?
I took the time to observe some of their expressions, and some of them have this expression that seems like genuine focus and genuine commitment to try to get this technique right. I did 2 self-defense workshops in Colombia. My research for my PhD was on the experiences of women in armed conflict in Colombia. This is actually what actually inspired me to run these self-defense workshops in the first place. There were a lot of these women that suffered a lot of sexual violence due to the conflicts in Colombia, and human trafficking is also a common phenomenon in Colombia. So with the 2 workshops that I did, one was for survivors of sex trafficking, and then the other one was for prevention of sex trafficking. And I noticed how determined they were to try to learn the techniques, and they were very serious about trying to demonstrate these techniques and ask me questions on whether or not they're doing it correctly or not. When I was teaching the young girls for prevention of sex trafficking in Cartagena, Colombia, and a lot of these girls were from ages 13 to, I guess, 16 years old. And on their end, some of them were very determined, but a lot of them thought of it as more fun, right? Something that it was more something that was fun rather than, something that was serious.
Well, I am Johnny Tai, also called Johnny Tiger. I am a martial artist, visual artist, musician, podcaster from British Columbia. I founded Night Strike Self-Defense for the Blind in 2015. And basically it's a movement where we bring blind participants, sighted participants, anyone who want to take part in, and we run weekend self-defense workshop, usually Saturday and Sunday. Train, have fun, work out, and everyone gets really sore and cranky the day after. I myself have been training since 1987, I guess, long time. In 2014, I was a silver medalist in the Tifisa World Martial Arts Championship, the first time ever a blind person took silver medal for Canada in the martial arts championship. I've trained police officers, I trained border security, I trained airport security, bouncers, all kind of people who want to work on their self-defense and practical street-level fighting.
Can you give us an explainer of what self-defense is?
I mean, self-defense, it really comes down to something very simple. Protect yourself at the end of the conflict, or hopefully there's no conflict. I often tell my students, the moment you have to use your self-defense or martial art or whatever do you do, taekwondo or judo, whatever, the moment you have to use that, you failed your self-defense. By that point, it's not self-defense. At that point, it's damage control. It's survival. Self-defense is, hopefully, we don't get to that point. How do you spot potential problem? How do you avoid potential problem? How do you de-escalate in time to get home safe? So self-defense is about not fighting, or if you have to fight, you are the one that walk away okay at the end of the day. You don't always succeed.
True.
And that is the sad part. Like, you can do all the right things. You can make all the right moves, say all the right things, back down with your hands up. Hey, man, no problem, whatever. You can do all that. But if that other person wants something you have, or think you are easy target, sometimes there's just no helping it. To take up a self-defense system or any kind of martial arts system that you wish to use for self-defense is to prepare you for that. It's when talk fails.
We're always advocating for more independence, more autonomy for people with disabilities, right? But is there something about self-defense or the anxieties that we're facing today that we should be keeping in mind?
It's a scary world out there. There's a lot of good people, but there are some people who don't care if you are disabled and you just want to be left alone so you can be independent. They don't care. They see an easy mark. As visually impaired, blind people, disabled people, anytime you're thinking about independent you have to weigh the risk. There's always going to be risk. And I'm not even just talking about bad people. Anytime I step out of the house to cross the street to go to work, I have to face the fact. I am a blind person crossing the street. Any drunk driver can run me down at any time. I can do all the right things, and I might still get run over by a car. I can do all the right things. I might still get attacked by a stray dog. There's a lot of risk outside the human factor. We cannot always prepare for all of them, but mentally, it is very important to think about them and think, what if that happened? Luckily, when it comes to human factors, it's a little bit easier to deal with, a little bit easier to predict. Why do someone attack you? Usually, they want your money, they want your possession, or they want your body.
But what happens in the moment? And I think people with disabilities, like, there's such specific context you're probably teaching people because of our specific vulnerabilities.
It depends on every disability, every person's capability. Do you have good balance? Do you have weak arms? Maybe you're in a wheelchair. There's no cookie cutter way to teach self-defense to people, not just disabled people, but any people. You need to really look at your students. What is this person good at? What is person strong at? And are they weak to? And you need to tailor your lesson to give your students the best chance of survival. Some people, their instinct is flight. They're just good at running. So in this case, you got to teach them how to get that one surprising shot in and then run away as quickly as they can. And how to map out the best way to route to run, how to get help, and how to use obstacles to help them slow the other person down, that kind of strategy. But if you are teaching a blind person, then you definitely don't want to teach them to run away because you're just setting them up for failure. Then in this case, you got to teach them how to neutralize the other person as effectively, as quickly as possible, how to put themselves their back to the wall so no one's going to come up behind them. So the strategy can be totally different. The other person shouldn't know what you know. And that is usually the biggest trump card, especially for disabled people. You want to try to play a low profile to begin with, but be assertive while you can, depending on the situation. But usually that element of surprise is your trump card. Once that element of surprise is gone, the playing field gets very tricky to navigate for most disabled people.
Samira's also weighing in on strategy, techniques she teaches the women attending the Unbreakable self-defense class in Toronto.
I teach them how, the essential parts of the hand, right? How to throw a punch, right? Because many people, even grown men, they don't know how to properly throw a punch or what part of the hand to use, right? And oftentimes it results in breaking their hands, right? So, how to throw a punch, how to throw a kick, a proper kick, what part of the foot should you use, which is the strongest part, having them get to know their bodies a little bit more, right? The strongest points within their bodies and understanding what are the weakest points.
I don't know, I'm curious about how deep we can get into the martial arts side of things. How much of self-defense is martial arts, would you say?
Truth be told, probably 25%. I would say 25%. Martial art is just a tool. It's just a tool. The mindset, the muscles, the reflexes, the balance, all that stuff that's going to help you out in self-defense. But at the same time, there are podcasters in the US that are going to tell you there's no point learning martial art if your whole idea is self-defense, because all you have to do is buy a gun. That's self-defense. That's more effective than any kind of martial art out there for self-defense. Even I myself preached this for a long, long time, especially on women and children that ask me what can they do to be safe.
first point of contact, that first moment of fear or anxiety or suspicion that something is wrong? What do you recommend there?
The first thing you don't want to do is freeze up, and which is a very natural reaction. It's good to take lessons because you need to fight past that. I'm a deer caught in the headlight mentality. Like a lot of us, because we are blessed and cursed, that we live in a very civilized society. Most of us don't grow up fighting. So a lot of us, we have the luxury to never have to test this stuff out. And that means when situation really happen, our brain is like, whoa, 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 what's going on here? What, am I overreacting? Am I in the fight? He's punching me in the face. Should I punch him back? Like, there's a lot of, like, your brain is going to be your biggest enemy in this kind of situation. When you realize there's something dangerous, there's something bad, don't freeze up. Start in, like, in your head. And this sounds complicated, but usually, like, for someone like myself who's been in this business for a long time, as soon as I realize there's a problem, I have risk assessment, I have exit strategy, I have de-escalation strategy, I have scenarios, 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. Is he going to grab my neck? Is he going to grab my hair? Is he going to swing at my face? I have all that mapped out within under 3 seconds. That is the ultimate, what we are hoping for, to be able to have your brain function and map out everything you need to do within a short time when you detect that there's a problem, and then act on the most possible scenario. Is this person too close to me? Yes, he is too close to me. Can I back away? If I can, I need to tell him to back away. This is not the time to be polite. Hey, back off. You're in my personal space. Back away. You need to be able to fire that off right away without freezing.
Is there a specific martial arts practice that women can consider starting with?
I think jiu-jitsu is a martial art that truly every woman should go and learn. So what jiu-jitsu is, it's basically it's grappling and groundwork, right? I think it's so useful for not all of it is on the ground, but it's so useful for women. Every woman that I see, if they say I want to do a martial arts because I want to learn how to defend myself, like I always say jiu-jitsu. With judo, it's very practical in terms of taking somebody down, but oftentimes the takedown is very useful when you're wearing the gi. It's grab, sweep, throw, right? So that's judo. Muay Thai is from Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a full contact combat sport, similar to like boxing stances. The punches are somewhat similar in a sense, very different from karate.
Feels like we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg with self-defense, martial arts, and disability. We'll keep exploring in part 2. Here's Lindsay again to talk about what cause they're supporting with the Unbreakable workshop they're running this December.
All the proceeds go to a charity that we pick, and this year we're doing it for the Barbara Schleifer Clinic. The Barbara Schleifer Clinic provides legal support to women. So essentially it's operated by lawyers who kind of do pro bono work. You know, if you get too intimidated by the process, what are they going to do? They're going to back out and they're going to give up and they're not going to want to fight because it's just too overwhelming, too scary. So I think it's such a great thing that they're doing to provide that assistance so that hopefully these women are getting what they're owed and getting the right things out of whatever their legal battle is. Giving women that empowerment and getting away from that backlash of weakness and being made to feel small or insignificant or outshone, and not just physically, but all these like other, mental, emotional, legally ways as well. So maybe they don't always feel unsafe in their surroundings, but I think to an extent, every single woman knows that feeling on the TTC, walking home a little bit too late at night. Like they all have that underlying fear. And maybe they haven't thought about like, okay, I'm going to take a self-defense class because, if someone does X, Y to me, then I can do A, B, C back to them and get away from that situation. I think a bit of like an empathy component may have played into it as well. Like they were almost doing it for the cause, like, learn self-defense, learn protection, because women do that. Like we're all kind of standing on a common emotional anchor right now.
A lot of what I'm leaving with after this piece is that I have no idea how I would defend myself in any of these situations, even when you just start thinking about reaction and fight or flight or freeze. I am a freezer.
I think that's a very common reaction for a lot of people when we contemplate how we would react in a situation which we otherwise may not anticipate, where we are vulnerable or at risk. And we're not even talking about someone who might be aggressive. I could just be talking about something as banal as someone taking a hold of my arm on the subway, well-meaning, intending to, guide me somewhere where I don't necessarily have to go.
There's adverse effects to this, right? Like all three of us, me, you, Beth, around the table are either low vision or blind. And part of my day-to-day is being nice to people because people are trying to be helpful. And me thinking, okay, I don't want to be that blind person, because you're so busy worrying about not wanting to piss the other person off.
I also really feel this. If they've been like really nice to me, it's almost like my throat has like closed and like I can't say anything. I think it's really interesting kind of what the self-defense piece like brought up for me, because I used to have very good vision as a teenager, as a young child. And I remember when I was sighted, I was feisty. But now, as someone who is blind, I have absolutely no idea where I would start. Do you know what I mean? It's a huge reason as to why I'm a guide dog user, because I feel like some people are scared of dogs, and thankfully sometimes people's ignorance and misunderstanding of what a guide dog is works in my favor. The amount of people that are like, oh, he would definitely protect you if something happened, or like someone came at you.
I think what self-defense does is gives you the confidence to overcome a lot of the conditioning that we have as women to be nice, for example, not to be nasty, not to, put people's backs up, especially if they're trying to help us out, to try and overcome some of that, to establish some semblance of, well, these are my boundaries. This is what I'm comfortable with. I'm okay with you offering an arm and I'll take your arm to get to where I need to go. But I'm not okay with you scooping my cane off the ground and leading me by the tip of my cane to where I need to go. So it's really just about giving yourself the confidence and giving yourself the permission to set some ground rules. And whether or not you're a person with a disability doesn't come into play here as much as I think, the question of anybody, irrespective of what your abilities might be. Everybody has the right to bodily autonomy. Everybody has the right to feel safe and comfortable.
It's exactly what it is. Like whatever the vulnerabilities you're feeling, whether you've gone through something actually, or it was just the conditioning, as you say, because of our identities. And then the fear, right? Like as you're losing vision, you become more afraid. I'm more afraid to go out at nighttime now. It's whatever makes us feel more healthy, confident, strong. Like we don't have to be defensive.
That's the sentiment. Also, what are the ways in which our communities can be more safe, whether that's having adequate lighting in dark alleyways and, making sure that people are not having to walk in the dark. I think that's a really simple thing that can be put in place to make everybody feel safe. Having enough cameras so that people feel that there's a deterrent. When we have conversations about self-defense, I think it does need to be a part of the bigger community safety dialogue, whether it's having walk safe programs or adequate lighting, or making sure that our neighborhoods are actually walkable and safe for people of all abilities at all hours of the day and night.
This Reflections episode is called Fighting and Focus, Self-Defense in the Real World, created and edited by Ramya Amuthan. Post-production, Matt Agnew. The manager of AMI Audio is Andy Frank, and I'm your host, Ramya Amuthan.